Alright, hello, welcome back. Here we are. I think it was build revision 4, was it? The one we were looking at the other day. That supported dim statements and rearranging the dimensions and that kind of stuff. Then I went through and added support for local statements, global statements, which are the same statement really in the context of the converter. It also tracks down implicit declarations as well. So we'll run our little example again. So I want to show you something maybe it's interesting. Console. There's a little program I've called Pyramid. Now this also, it supports most of the structural things in Blitz have been picked up, so the while and in while statements and all that kind of stuff, as you know, can do correctly match the types being used up front. What you could do, the more I think about this, is that you could actually we could insert inside functions in particular a local statement into them of any locals that have been used implicitly throughout the scope, and then that would let you enable explicit mode, or you could see, a direct list. This wasn't written like that, but we could do that. You'll notice this little weird, it's dumped out this weird include file up the top here. So, which is something we'll have a look at in a second. So the program's all pretty rudimentary, as we'll find all the variables, etc. It's all quite good. Now I've got a copy of that, so I'll just go into a blank project. This is an example called Pyramid. You'll notice that we've got wrappers of our commands. We've added our prefix to the command name so they don't collide with PB commands. That's why we need the prefixes. Suffixes, whatever you want to call them. It's gone through and promoted our variables to the correct types, so we don't have situations where width is used with or without the hash. So this a bunch of times. It's updated our while loop there. So pretty much it's done a bunch of work for us, really. If we try and compile and run this, it doesn't quite run out of the box, because PB requires parameters, functions that have no parameters to have brackets, pretty much. So we just add those to those ones there that they have no parameters. Hit run, and it works. Now it's a pretty simple program. Okay, fair enough. You got me there. But I wasn't really expecting that we'd get to a point where it would actually work that easy for a project. If we open up the Pyramid source code, I'll grab this, we'll bring it into PlayBASIC. So this is the original Blitz code. I'll put it beside here. It doesn't take long when you look at this to realize that there's a bunch of work that's done for us straight out of the box. So it's handy already. It's more handy than what I anticipated at this point. It can only deal with basic syntactical things with the functions. For example, it knows where a function starts, knows where a function ends. But if I had to modify this code to compile and run, that's a pretty big pain in the backside to make this run manually. I'll show you. We'll leave the graphics mode up the way it is. Get key. Scan code. Color is ink. RGB sync. And while unnecessary, fix the. That's the preliminary changes, but if we try and run it, we kind of get something, but not quite. If I turn explicit mode on, we'll see the problem. Explicit on, thank you. You can turn explicit on for blocks of code too, by the way. So if you want to just check something, check a particular section, not others. What we should find now is that these will be different variables. Well, actually, if we turn this off for a second, we write in debug mode and go to variables, my function, you'll see that there are two different variables of each one. A has there's an A integer, A float, AX integer, A float. Because they were declared one way and used another way. So in PB, since it's multi-instance, you can have the same keyword and it can be an integer. The same variable name can also be a float, or it can also be a string, but they have to have the hash and the string to make that difference. So to convert this manually, we'd have to go through and pick up these points directly. Would hope that would. We take explicit on, we'll see what I mean. It should catch each time that they're not declared. CX is not known, CX, CX, CX. Another naive compile, of course, AX won't be known, AY won't be known. They're not declared. Bit of a run. So many X1, so we'll do a search replace. X1. Replace all. Yeah, let's do it. I guess I'm proving my point, aren't I? That even for a small code base, this is probably what, 50 lines of code, if there's lots of type mismatches, it can be quite problematic to convert code across, and you might not be aware of what the problem is going to be if you're coming from the Blitz world to PB. In fact, you wouldn't really know that at all. They just have different designs from the start. It's like trying to convert PB code back to Blitz. I mean, some stuff you could easily convert back, as we're doing here. This would port back to where it came from quite comfortably. It's when we start using things in PB that are they're inherently PB features rather than. All right. So I'm glad I added that feature to it, because I wasn't going to. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized that it needs to keep track of the variables and keep track of what symbol they were declared with initially, and then insert that where possible. Oh, I haven't got the A character. Like if I went through and did a replacement of the A character, I'd break stuff like this. So you've got to be very careful just doing not random, but doing global replacements at a string level. All right, that's good. Let's go. Oh, damn it. Oh, I missed one. There you go. Please run. No, missed another one. Yeah, at the end there. That should be it. No. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry, it's AY. Hit run. There you go. So look, obviously you can port this stuff by hand. Yeah, that's not out of the question. The issue is that if it takes, 5 minutes to convert, what have we got? 50 lines of code, let's say. Imagine if your code base is 1,000 lines. A lot of that you can do search, replace stuff on once you get a handle on it. But if you've got lots of instances of where variables are used, declared one way and then used without their postfix character in there, for example, or arrays, or that's going to add up to a lot of changes and a lot of time. So I think it's starting to prove that it's a worthwhile pursuit. Even though there might not be a massive amount of Blitz BASIC code out there today, people will still have it in their collections and keep those old programs alive. And it gives people more of an incentive. We're not there yet. We're not there, with a tool that can do it out of the box. It will never be there, but it will give you a pretty good standing board to getting something up and running. That's all I wanted to say today. Thanks for watching, and we'll tackle the rest of this during this week. Thank you. Bye.